That woman you saw earlier walking through the woods. You see her?
Yes.
What's she wearing?
A long gray dress.
What about on her feet?
Barefoot.
What color's her skin?
White.
Right. And how old does she look?
20s.
And do you know this woman? Do you feel as if you know her?
No.
And describe her hair.
Long, black.
And is she there walking through the woods? What happens next?
Just walking and smoking something.
Walking and smoking something. Describe what she's smoking.
I can't tell. It looks white and she's smoking.
And what happens next is she's walking and smoking?
Just keeps walking and smoking. Still walking.
As she's walking, you notice anything stands out?
No.
Can I continue to walk? Tell me where she is. What happens next as she's walking?
She's looking around. She keeps looking, like looking back.
What happens next?
She seems like she's laughing and looking back.
Laughing. And as she's walking, laughing, look back, what thoughts go through your mind about this woman?
I don't have thoughts. It's like I'm just observing her.
Gotcha. Continue to look to observe. Tell me what happens next. She's walking, looking around, looking back, and laughing.
It's like she's now walking to a house.
Describe this house.
It's like a 2-story home, white house.
And the setting around this house, is this still in the woods or is this something else in the woods? So trees surrounding the house?
Woods.
And she goes into the house. What happens next?
Just laughing.
He's laughing. Is she inside of the house or outside of the house now?
Laughing. Inside the house, laughing and dancing.
Laughing and dancing. And you feel like this woman lives there or is she just visiting?
I'm not sure, but she's comfortable.
What happens next as she's there laughing and dancing? Is she alone? Or with others?
Alone.
And what happens next after she's laughing and dancing?
Just the same right now.
So the moment I count from 3 to 1, I want you to move forward to the very next important event that's happening. 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in and be there now. Tell me what's happening. Are you inside or outside?
Darkness. Inside a White House in darkness.
In a White House in darkness. And are you alone there or are there others there?
Alone.
And you feel male or female there?
Female.
You feel young or old there?
30s.
And what are you wearing there?
A white dress. Long white dress.
What about on your feet?
Barefoot.
What color is your skin?
Mixed.
Mixed. Describe your hair. Repeat that again.
Afro.
Afro. And this place that you're in, this house, is this someplace you stay or are you just visiting there?
It's where I'm staying.
It's where you're staying. And have you been staying there very long?
No.
And where were you before?
I'm not sure.
And do you live there alone or are there others that live there with you as well?
I can't tell. I'm alone right now.
Tell me, how do you feel there sitting there in the darkness in that house?
Calm.
Calm. And are you sitting? Are you standing? Are you walking? What are you doing? What position are you in?
I'll sit down. I'm getting up.
What were you sitting on?
Looking out the window. The chair.
And you're getting up. What do you do next when you get up?
Look out the window.
What do you notice when you look out the window?
When I look out, all I see is woods.
And what thoughts go through your mind as you're looking out that window?
I feel lost, but I'm calm. Lost?
Lost, okay. And what happens next as you're looking out that window?
I go to sit in the chair and then everything gets dark again. Everything just gets darker and darker.
That things are getting darker. Is there a light on in the home, in the room where you were?
When I get up and look out the window, there's a little light outside the window. Where the woods.
Is there a light on in the house anywhere?
It's like a candle light.
A candle light. Where's this candle light?
Glass. It's on a counter.
The counter. Anything else you noticed there on the counter with that candle light?
Fruits. Apples.
And what year is it for you there?
1928.
What part of the world is this?
I don't know.
And what's your name?
Laura?
Laura. And Laura, you say you haven't been there long. How long have you been there in that place?
I don't know.
Years, months, weeks, days. How long have you been there?
About 2 months.
Mm-hmm. And do you have a family, Laura?
No.
Mm-hmm. No parents, siblings, children, lover, anyone that cares about you, you care about?
Not that I can remember.
Mm-hmm. And what happens next, Laura, as you're there sitting in this dark home?
I feel like I'm locked in the house.
Locked in the house. Mm-hmm. Did you lock yourself in the house or did someone lock you in there?
I don't know. When I try to open the door, I can't get out.
Mm-hmm. And how does that make you feel when you feel like you can't get out?
Anxiety?
Mm-hmm. And what thoughts go through your mind as you're not able to open that door?
Just a bunch of different white faces just keep randomly popping in my head.
White faces. Describe these white faces.
Female with long hair.
Mm-hmm.
Older male, big.
Mm-hmm.
Like bald.
Mm-hmm.
They're laughing.
Mm-hmm. And they're laughing. And how do you feel as they're laughing there?
Yeah, I feel cold.
Feel cold? Cold as in temperature wise? Or?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really cold.
Mm-hmm. And tell me what happens next.
I'm just shaking cold.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
On the floor.
Mm-hmm. Those faces that you saw, do you know those people? Do you feel like you know them?
The female looks like I've seen her in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really cold.
Mm-hmm. Let's figure out where this coldness is coming from. Is there something in the room or an area where this temperature is coming from?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And as you're there on the floor feeling cold, what thoughts go through your mind?
I'm trying to figure out how to warm myself up.
Mm-hmm. So what happens next?
I got a blanket that was on a chair.
Mm-hmm.
I put it over myself, but I'm still cold.
Mm-hmm. What happens next?
I looked out the window, but there's nothing, just woods.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks dark outside.
Mm-hmm. What happens next?
I just sit down in a chair.
Mm-hmm. 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 Let's go ahead and close that scene, Laura. Close that scene. I want you to move forward to the very next important event in that same lifetime as Laura, where something important is happening. Count from 3 to 1. When I get to 1, you'll be there. 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in and be there now. Trusting your first impressions. Are you inside or outside?
I'm outside walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of people. It's like a fruit market.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel there, walking down the street?
I feel good. I'm dressed up. I have a flowy dress, a hat on, and I'm looking at fruits.
Mm-hmm. How old do you feel there?
My late 20s.
Mm-hmm. And are you alone there or someone else there with you?
I'm by myself, but there's a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
at the market.
Mm-hmm. And as you're looking at these fruit, what thoughts go through your mind?
They smell good.
Mm-hmm. And what happens next there?
A big white man stopped me to ask questions.
Mm-hmm. And what did he ask you?
How much are the fruits?
Mm-hmm. And what do you respond to him?
I didn't respond. I walked away.
Mm-hmm. Why didn't you respond?
I didn't like him.
Mm-hmm. What didn't you like about him?
It doesn't look familiar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what happens next?
He's following me.
Mm-hmm. Describe this man.
He's tall, big, gray tuxedo,
Mm-hmm.
black shoes,
Mm-hmm.
black hat,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a pipe in his mouth. He keeps getting in and taking out his mouth.
Mm-hmm. And as he's there following you, how do you feel?
Cold.
Cold? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is it because of the temperature is cold there? Outside?
No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what happens
They're
next?
cold. I'm still walking, but I could tell that I'm being followed.
Mm-hmm. And you still see him?
Yes, and there's a female following me as well.
Mm-hmm. Describe this female.
She looks probably early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Like has on like a flower. It's a hat with flowers on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just watching me.
Mm-hmm. What thoughts go through your mind as they're following and watching you?
I'm nervous and I'm cold.
Mm-hmm. What happens next?
I'm walking down the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being followed.
Mm-hmm. What happens next?
I start running.
Mm-hmm. What happens next?
I drop my basket with the fruits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everything's black.
And everything's black. Mm-hmm.
Everything just turned black.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go ahead, close that scene, close that scene. I want you to move forward and tell me what was the outcome of that event of being followed. Count from 3 to 1. When I get to 1, I want you to move forward to what happened, the outcome of you running and being followed. 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in and be there now. Trusting your first impressions.
I'm in a White House.
In the White House. Is it the
White
same
House.
Same White
Yes.
House? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What's happening there?
I'm back sitting in the chair.
Mm-hmm. Are you alone there? Are others with you?
I feel like I'm alone.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you notice as you're there sitting in that chair?
The
Cup.
A man looked at me through a window.
Repeat that.
A man looked at me through a window.
Mm-hmm. What happens next?
He was smiling.
Mm-hmm.
And he walked away.
Mm-hmm. And what did you do when he looked in the window?
I got nervous.
Mm-hmm. And this man, you recognize him?
Yes, he's the man that was following me.
Mm-hmm. And what happens next there?
They walk in. They open the door.
Who walks in?
It's just a fat white man.
Mm-hmm. You recognize this man?
Looks different.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel once he walks in and opens the door?
Not comfortable.
Mm-hmm. What happens next?
He's trying to take my clothes off.
Mm-hmm. What thoughts go through your mind that happens?
I don't feel comfortable. I'm pushing him away.
Mm-hmm. Did he say anything to you as he did that?
No, he just keeps trying to take my clothes off.
Mm-hmm. What happens next?
A lady comes in the room.
Mm-hmm.
She puts ropes on my hand.
Mm-hmm. You recognize this woman?
Yes.
Where was she?
She was following me.
Well, it's the same man and woman who were following you earlier.
The same woman, but the man looks different.
And what happens next? Did she say anything to you as she put your hands in rope?
Shut up.
Did you say anything to her or him?
Stop.
What thoughts go through your mind as that happens?
It's cold.
What happens next?
He has sex with me. And she's laughing.
What happens next?
They leave the room and I'm on the floor, cold.
They leave the room. I mean, they're inside of the house, or did they leave the house themselves?
No, it looks like I'm like a kitchen. It's a kitchen that has a door that locks.
In this kitchen. So those people, do they live there? Are they visiting or intruders?
I think they live here.
Who are they?
I don't know.
And tell me what happens next.
When I look out the window, I see them outside. They're just walking around. I try to open the door, but I can't get out.
Gotcha. So I want to go back for a second. When they were back there in that room with you, and the guy had raped you, and the woman was still laughing. I want you to lend your mind and lips to that woman. I want to speak directly with her. I count from 3 to 1. When I get to 1, I want to speak directly with this woman. 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in. Let me speak with this woman now. Hello there, ma'am.
Hello.
Do you know this woman that you're there, that you have tied up there in the kitchen?
No, I followed her.
And this is your home that you're in?
Yes.
And when you followed her, how did she end up in your home?
I hit her over the head.
And why have you locked her there in the kitchen?
She belongs in the house.
She belongs in the house? Why does she belong in the house?
She belongs in the house.
Why? Why does she need to be in the house?
She's a servant.
So you kidnapped her, made her your servant? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And why did you do that?
For my husband.
Mm-hmm. What does your husband need with her?
Sex.
Mm-hmm. So if he's your husband, why don't you have sex with him?
I can't.
Why not?
I can't.
Why not? Do you have a vagina?
Yes.
Is there something wrong with your vagina?
He doesn't want me.
He doesn't want you. Why doesn't he want you?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And so did he tell you to go and help him kidnap someone? Whose idea was this?
We agreed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Agreed on what? What was the agreement?
Getting a servant.
Mm-hmm. Did she agree to be your servant?
No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So, what's your name, ma'am?
Sasha.
Sasha. Sasha, I'd like to speak with your husband for a moment. A moment, I count from 3 to 1. I want you to
He doesn't want to talk.
He doesn't want to talk. Why doesn't he want to talk?
He doesn't.
Can he talk?
I do the talking.
You do the talking.
Yes.
So can you tell me why your husband doesn't want you? Did he share that with you?
I don't satisfy him.
You don't satisfy him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so why are you still married to him if if you don't satisfy him and he's forced to go to these extremes? Why don't you just leave?
We can't have a divorce.
Why not?
We'll be judged.
By who?
Everyone.
Mm-hmm. And who is everyone whose opinion that you care about?
Family, the church.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So does the family and the church know that you've kidnapped this woman and holding her against her will?
No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Don't you care about being judged by that?
No.
Why not?
Husband's happy.
My husband's happy. Mm-hmm. What about you? Are you happy?
I'm happy if he's happy.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't sound very convincing, but okay. So, where do you live? What part of the world do you live in, Sasha?
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So, what are your plans to keep this woman here? How long?
So my husband's done with her.
Mm-hmm. And why did you choose her?
She's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Confident.
Mm-hmm.
Alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And did you choose her or did your husband choose her?
I did.
Mm. So you've been watching her for a while?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, Sasha, let me speak with Laura again in 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in and be Laura now. Laura?
Yes.
What happens next there? After they lock you into the kitchen, you try to go out the door, you can't get out. What happens next?
Feel really cold.
Mm-hmm. What happens next?
I'm being kicked.
You're being kicked. Who's kicking you?
Female.
Mm-hmm. And she's kicking you. Does she say anything?
Calling me a bitch and a whore.
Mm-hmm. And what do you
Being
say?
kicked on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Do you say anything to her?
Let me go.
Mm-hmm. And she say anything to you?
I run to the door, but I can't get out.
Mm-hmm. Is it just you and her there?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And what happens next?
She leaves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And did you try and fight her back?
Yes. She's much bigger than me.
Okay, gotcha. What happens after she leaves?
Hurt. My body's in pain.
Mm-hmm. What part of your body?
My stomach, my legs.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to get up.
Mm-hmm. What happens next?
I'm knocking on the door.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She tells me to shut up.
Mm-hmm. And what happens next?
I'm just by myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward to what the outcome of all this is. Move forward. Tell me, what happens? Do you ever get out of there? Move forward in 3, 2, and 1. What's the outcome of all this?
I'm in a casket.
In a casket. Mm-hmm. And how old are you there?
32.
Mm-hmm. And are there others around?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Who's there?
So I'm not sure if I know them, but they're crying.
Mm-hmm. And describe these people.
They're dressed in black.
Mm-hmm.
Men.
Mm-hmm.
They're crying.
These older men, young, how old do they look?
Both older and young.
And who are these men?
Family.
Family.
I think they're family.
And family in what way? What's the relationship to them?
Cousins.
Cousins. And how did
father?
Your father? Your father and your cousin?
Yes.
And you're there in that casket. How did that body die?
Abuse.
Abuse. Abuse from?
Was white woman and white male.
That's who that kidnapped you?
Yes.
And how long did they keep you there before you died?
Two.
What?
No, 2.
2 years, 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days.
2 months.
Mm-hmm. And you're there in a casket. Where's your spirit observing all of this?
Above.
Above. What thoughts go through your mind as you're observing all of that below?
I feel calm, but I'm still a little cold.
A little cold. Do you realize that your body's dead?
Yes.
Any regrets or thoughts about that life you just lived?
Huh?
Any regrets or thoughts go through your mind about that life?
No.
And what happens to your spirit? Does it rise and go to the light? Does it stay closer to the earth? What happens to it?
I just see a flashing lights.
Flashing lights. Flashing white lights. Where you see this flashing light?
Above.
Above. And what happens next? What does your spirit do?
It's like I don't know if I want to go to the flashing or stay low. I'm in between.
What are your concerns as to why you're not sure if you want to go?
I keep looking down at the men that's in front of my casket.
And what are your thoughts about those men?
I feel like I wasn't there for them.
How that make you feel like you weren't there for them?
I feel emotional.
And why weren't you?
So
Repeat that.
I'm not ready to go.
Not ready to go. And what are you waiting for? What do you want before you go?
I love them.
Love them. Would you like to speak with those men?
Yes.
All right. Who would you like to speak with first?
Your father.
All right. Go ahead. Bring your father there in front of you. When he's in front of you, go ahead and express yourself.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Tell him what you're sorry for. Tell him everything, how you felt.
Sorry for not being there.
Mm-hmm. Not being there, how? Tell him everything.
Not being there with the family physically and mentally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'll watch over you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So now, anything else you want to say to your father?
I'll be with mom.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you
Tell
want to
the
share?
family I love them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be watching over them.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That's it.
Now let's see your father's response in. Go ahead. Take a deep breath in and be your father now. Dad, what do you say back to your daughter, Laura?
I love her and she will always be in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Please be at peace.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be watching over the family.
Mm-hmm. And Dad, why does she think she did something wrong?
She left the family at a young age on her choice.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to be around us.
Mm-hmm.
She never came around.
Mm-hmm. And why? Or what was it? Why didn't she want to be around?
She just wanted to be on her own.
Mm-hmm. How old was she when she left?
16.
Mm-hmm. And she said she'll be with her mom, your wife. Is she dead? Her mom?
Yes.
How old was she when she died, Laura?
How old was Laura?
Mm-hmm. When her mom died. How old was Laura when her mom died?
18.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And did her leaving at 16, did it affect you and the family in any way?
Yes.
How did it affect you?
She wasn't with the family. She didn't come to her mother's funeral.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anything you want her to know about that?
We always missed her and we will always love her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she will always be my angel.
Mm-hmm. Dad, do you know how she died?
I know she was abused.
Mm-hmm. And how did you find out about her death?
They found her body.
Mm-hmm.
In a in a lake of water.
Mm-hmm.
She had marks all over her body.
Mm-hmm. Do you know who did it?
No.